Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Week 4 of the college football season was extremely exciting, but Week 5 has a chance to be even better as we have 4 huge ranked versus ranked matchups which will either have college football playoff implications or major conference standings implications. So we're going to break down our top 5 games of Week 5 and at the end share our Heisman watch like we always do during our weekly previews. So our first game is number 12 West Virginia at number 25 Texas Tech. And this game, huge for many reasons. This one not really having playoff implications yet, but obviously has major Big 12 standing implications. Texas Tech going on the road just last week and annihilating number 15 Oklahoma State at the time. And this game has the chance to be a huge shootout, honestly. West Virginia did a great job last week defensively holding Kansas State. I think it was just 6 points, winning that game 35-6. Will Greer putting on another great display on offense, 5 touchdowns, over 300 yards passing. But you can't deny the greatness of Alan Bowman at Texas Tech and how well he has done coming in for the Red Raiders and really just lighting a spark in this Red Raiders offense. This game being at Texas Tech, I'm going to give that win to the Red Raiders. That was a pick that I made back in the summer. I thought they'd pull up the upset. I didn't see Texas Tech being this good as they are now, annihilating Oklahoma State, taking care of business against Houston, sitting at 3-1. But I did have them beating Ole Miss, so I had them being mediocre. Cliff Kingsbury, as we said back in the offseason, this is kind of that make-or-break year for him. And right now he's on the right track. I mean, if the season were to end today, he would still be the head coach of the Red Raiders. If he gets a win here over the number 12 team in the country and another very prolific offense, the Red Raiders might be a very strong contender in the Big 12. They could be that dark horse team that could challenge to maybe go to the Big 12 championship game. I mean, they still have some big games against Texas and Oklahoma, teams like that, but to kick things off with a win over West Virginia would be huge for Cliff Kingsbury and his team, and I think they're going to get the job done. This next game, obviously not a top 25 matchup, was going to have a lot of emotion riding in it. Dan Mullen makes his return to Starkville just 1 year after leaving Mississippi State to go back and take the head coaching job at Florida. It hasn't even been a full year yet. So obviously there's going to be a lot of emotion in this one, him making the return. He, you know, as a Mississippi State fan, you know it has to hurt to lose your head coach like that, but you can't deny what he did at Mississippi State, making them relevant in the SEC West. So if I were there, I would certainly be giving him a standing ovation, not booing him. I know it hurts when your coach leaves you, but he did a great job and great things for that Bulldogs program. Florida coming off a huge win on the road at their rival against Tennessee, winning by 26 points and getting 6 turnovers in that game. Mississippi State coming off a very disappointing loss, 28-7 to Kentucky. I could have seen Kentucky winning that game, but not by 21 points. And they're going to have to do a better job in this game of stopping the run. Obviously, didn't do a great job shutting down Benny Snell last game, so he's going to have to do that here against Florida. Felipe Franks, though, pretty solid quarterback. A lot of people had a lot of hate on him from last year, but he was just not put in the right offense. Dan Mullen's like the quarterback whisperer. He's been able to do some great things. You see what he did at Mississippi State. He's doing the same thing here at Florida. This game, like West Virginia, Texas Tech, you can see a lot of points scored in this game. I'm giving the win to Mississippi State, though. Obviously, trying to get a little bit of revenge on their old head coach. Being at home is huge for them, and I think just overall they have enough experience, more experience with Nick Fitzgerald and that very, very solid defense that we didn't see last week, but we know is there. And I think they're going to get the job done against a very solid Gators team. But I will say if Florida wins this game, they will be ranked. Mississippi State will drop out. I can see them swapping spots. Florida should be ranked and will be ranked if they get the win over the Bulldogs. Then, obviously, probably the biggest game of the night. Actually, these two next games are probably the biggest games of the entire night. And these are the ones that really have the biggest college football playoff implications. Number 4, Ohio State, and number 9, Penn State. Game day is going to this game. They're going to Happy Valley, and rightfully so. I mean, we've seen some thrillers between these two teams over the past couple of years. 2 years ago when they were back in Happy Valley, that's the game to me that put Penn State back on the map. That's the one that really, when they got that win over Ohio State, was really what sparked the beginning of the James Franklin era. I know he had been there for a while, but that got Penn State back into the national spotlight. They won all those games and got to the Rose Bowl, just missed out on making the college football playoff. And last year, a thriller in Columbus, Ohio State winning that game. I think it was 39-38. Penn State blowing that huge lead. And really that was the beginning of the end for Penn State last year. Kind of ruined their college football playoff hopes. They lost to Ohio State, and I believe the following week they lost to Michigan State after that super long rain delay. This game, though, very different. 2 prolific quarterbacks, Dwayne Haskins at Ohio State, Trace McSorley at Penn State. Everybody freaked out when Saquon Barkley left, which we all knew was coming, and they all thought that was going to be the end of Penn State. They were going to become nothing because their star running back left. And as big of a blow as that is, they have enough talent to still compete in the Big Ten and try to compete and make the college football playoff. I'm giving them the win at home against Ohio State. I know Ohio State put up some great numbers, huge wins over TCU, got a win over Oregon State, Rutgers, what have you. Penn State hasn't played as many big games. I know they struggled in week 1 against Appalachian State. I get that. But you know Happy Valley's going to be rocking for this game. It's going to be a very electric atmosphere with the home crowd on their side and obviously a chip on their shoulder, revenge after what happened last year. I'm giving them the win over Ohio State. And you have to keep in mind that Nick Bosa also will be out for the Buckeyes. So that takes away one of their top defensive players for Ohio State. You know, going up against a very solid Penn State offense. So, you know, you look at all the factors going into this game, and I think this is lining up for a very big Penn State victory here. I could be wrong, but I'm going to give them that one. Then number 7, Stanford, at number 8, Notre Dame. This is a prediction change. This is a prediction change. I'll say it over and over and over again, and if we decide to make more prediction changes, check our Twitter. They'll be out on there. But I originally predicted Stanford to win this game back in the summer, and I'm switching it back to Notre Dame. And that was a game I was really back and forth on, couldn't decide. Notre Dame making a big change last week against Wake Forest to bench Brandon Wimbush and put Ian Book in at quarterback. And he did a phenomenal job against Wake Forest. They just annihilated them. Well, Notre Dame was only like 7-point favorites or something like that, and they won by like 30. I don't know the exact score, but they took care of business against a decent Wake Forest team. And I think Brian Kelly making the good decision to switch the quarterback. Stanford, very gutsy performance on the road at Oregon, having to come back, battle all the way back, win that game in overtime, getting that fumble towards the end of regulation, tying it up, and then winning the game. That was just a phenomenal performance by Stanford, the resilience of not giving up against a very solid Oregon team. This game, though, it's in South Bend. I know a lot of people say I put too much emphasis on home field advantage, but in games like this, and in games like the Penn State game, like this Notre Dame game, home field advantage could be a major difference maker. It is a major difference maker. That's not why Notre Dame or Penn State's going to win that game, but it's certainly a factor that will help them win these games. Overall, though, Notre Dame, I think, is going to be able to do a good enough job of bottling up Bryce Love and making Stanford win this game through the air. And this Notre Dame team, even though they're number 8 in the country, I think it gets a bad rap. It is very, in my opinion, somewhat underrated. I think they get a huge win over Stanford and keeps their name in the hunt for the college football playoff. And you look at the rest of the season, Notre Dame doesn't face anybody that scares me too much. You've got the game against Virginia Tech, who just lost to Old Dominion. You've got USC at the end of the season. So Notre Dame is in a position where if they can win this game, maybe they can slip up just once and technically still be in the hunt. We saw them do it last year before they kind of fell apart at the end of the season. So it's extremely possible they could do it again. But I'm going to make this change. Notre Dame gets the win at home over a very, very solid Stanford team. And then our last game, number 19, Oregon, number 24, California. Giving the win to Oregon here, not a prediction change. We had that happening back in the summer. And it's just going to be interesting to see how well they're going to be able to bounce back at that crushing defeat. When a team loses in that type of fashion, like they did to Stanford just last week, how well are they going to be able to bounce back? What is the morale of the team going to be like? Can Mario Cristobal do a good job of rallying his team, saying, hey, look, the season's not over. We are still in the hunt. We still have a chance. We've got a game against Washington. If they can pull off that win, they're still in the hunt to make a Pac-12 championship game. But California, on the other hand, a very, very solid team. Justin Wilcox has built up fairly quickly in just year 2, number 24 in the country. They're coming off a bye week. They're rested. So a lot of factors are pointing almost to a California victory, but I have faith in this Oregon offense and Justin Herbert, who's not on our Heisman watch, but is right on the outside looking in my opinion. And I think they're going to have a bit of a chip on their shoulder. I truly believe, I like Mario Cristobal as a head coach. A lot of people didn't. I think he's a very solid head coach. I think he's going to have this team ready, and I think they're going to be able to shut down this California offense. This is a game that, honestly, I think, unlike some of these other games, could be a low-scoring game. You put a Jim Leavitt defense against a Justin Wilcox-led team at California, you could see a low-scoring game here. I think Justin Herbert isn't going to have the best of games, but I don't think California's offense is going to put up a whole lot of points either. They haven't really put up a whole lot of points at all this season, period. So this game has a chance to be somewhat low-scoring, but in the end, I think the Ducks get a huge win, and then they're going to have to start getting ready for Washington. So that's going to be very important for them. And I'm excited to see how that one plays out. Really, all of these games, these next 3 games, and if you want to count 5 o'clock as night, you can. So say you start up here, Florida, Mississippi State down, all night games. So the beginning of the day, this Saturday, not going to be that exciting, but once 5 o'clock hits, that's when the fun's really going to begin. So those are our top 5 games and our projected winners for our top 5 games. And like I said, prediction change, changing Notre Dame to beat Stanford. And then our Heisman watch, real quick, we got Kyler Murray, and this is in no specific order, but this is the year of the quarterback, in my opinion. You look at the running backs that we have out there right now, they're good. Bryce Love, a really good running back. Jonathan Taylor, one of the better running backs in the nation. A.J. Dillon, you could even throw out there. But all of these guys have not had some of the best performances lately. Bryce Love has struggled some. A.J. Dillon has certainly struggled. And you can't take away a Heisman or take them out of the Heisman watch after one performance. And we still got a lot of football left to play, so I'm going to give him time. But in the end, I think you look at the quarterback play out of the multiple quarterbacks in the country, and these are the best ones. You got Kyler Murray at Oklahoma, who counted for all of the Sooners' touchdowns last week in a thrilling overtime victory over Army. He's going to have to improve his play a little bit from last week, but still, his dual threat ability makes him one of the Heisman favorites. Tua Tagovailoa, one of the better quarterbacks, I think, to come through Alabama in a very, very long time. Has a chance to pad his stats this coming week with a game against Louisiana Lafayette, and then another chance to pad his stats the next week when they go on the road to Arkansas. So he's certainly one of the front runners in my opinion. His ability through the air is unbelievable. The first play of the game against Texas A&M was a touchdown by him to Devontae Smith, I believe. So he is by far one of the better quarterbacks in the entire nation. Not as good of a dual threat quarterback in terms of running as compared to some of these other guys, but through the air, extremely, extremely dangerous. Dwayne Haskins, all 5 touchdowns and just 1/2 against Tulane last week. Obviously one of those stat padding games, but had a chance. You know, you really find your Heisman front runner. You find your breakthrough player when they perform well in a big game. And you look at Will Grier, Dwayne Haskins, and once Tua Tagovailoa and Kyler Murray start getting into some of the bulk of conference play, but especially Dwayne Haskins and Will Grier this week, a chance to really make a name for themselves, to show they deserve to be Heisman front runners in some of the biggest games of the year. Will Grier, huge Big 12 game against Texas Tech on the road. Doing those performances on the road is even better. And then Dwayne Haskins on the road as well against number 9 Penn State. These two guys have big performances. They catapult, I think, to number 1, number 2 in the Heisman race. That's just my opinion, but that is going to be very important for these two players. If they struggle, they're not taken out of the Heisman race, but it's certainly going to hurt their chances. So these are, I think, these are my top 4 Heisman contenders as of right now entering Week 5. You could throw Justin Herbert in there. You could throw those running backs I mentioned, Bryce Love, Jonathan Taylor, A.J. Dillon. You could throw Trace McSorley in there at Penn State. All of those guys are potential Heisman candidates, but these, in my opinion, are the top 4 in the nation just based on the stats. Will Grier had 5 touchdowns last week against Kansas State and over 300 yards through the air. He's very consistent in doing so. So these are my top 4 quarterbacks and top 4 Heisman contenders as of right now, almost halfway through the season. Week 5, like I said, it's going to be one of the more exciting weeks of college football. We've got some very exciting ranked versus ranked matchups. We're starting to enter the bulk of conference play, which is always very exciting. Like I said, Week 4 was great, but I do expect that Week 5 is going to be even better. So make sure you get ready, especially for these night games on Saturday night. And also, go check us out on Predictive. I'm going to go through my highlights, talking about going to follow us on Twitter, but Predictive for some more content. Check the link in the description below. We are going to address some of these games, give a little more analysis and some bigger, more insight on our predictions on some of these bigger games. So go check us out there. Link will be in the description below for multiple videos that we do over at Predictive. So go check us out there. Go check us out on Twitter at Gridiron Expert, and always here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time on the Gridiron Expert.